Live from Lakewood, Colorado, broadcasting from the Colorado Media School studios, it's Sports with Staxxx and Shaggy.
Recovered by Malik Jackson for the touchdown. It was Vaughn Miller with the strip sack and Jackson with the recovery.
No, he missed it. Jokic, long pass. Harris has it. And he puts it away. What a pass. Peyton Manning again smiling.
The countdown. Cleared up. Out of the zone. The Colorado Avalanche have won the Stanley Cup. Raymond Moore, a dream has come true.
And welcome into our Thursday edition of Sports with Staxxx and Shaggy. Today, it's a nice day. Nice little day down in Lakewood. How are you doing, Staxxx?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I can't complain. It's the last day of the week here. You know, we did some press boxes this week, did some rush hour, got a lot done this week. I'm really feeling good about it.
I'm feeling great. I was asking before the show, have you ever broken a bone? And I think I've never broken a bone. So another great week for me because I went another week without breaking a bone. Huh? How many bones have you broken, Jacob?
So I've only broken my arm, and I broke my arm back when I used to play soccer when I was 8 years old. And when I broke it, I actually didn't want to go to the hospital. I was scared to go. And it was my uncle and my dad that actually convinced me to go to the hospital.
Talking about a lot of broken bones, I think there's a lot of broken bones in that Washington Redskins organization right now.
Oh, definitely. There definitely is. So reports have surfaced that Washington Redskins officials, let me pull up the actual Washington Redskins officials, Washington Redskins workers and as well as HR department have reported that 15 cases of sexual assault or sexual harassment going on from 2006 to 2019. And this is a pretty big deal with all the other stuff that's going on with the team, with the name change, all this stuff transpiring about that. It really puts a bad look on Dan Snyder. It really puts a bad look on the team, which already had not exactly good light shine towards them.
No, not at all. And it had a lot, with the name change, having the name of the Redskins for over 60 years. They really had nothing to do. The ownership right now had nothing to do with it. Now with something like this, their handprints are all over this, all over these allegations and this news story. And it's honestly bad media attention that they don't need at this time.
Seriously, and especially in a time right now where they're already getting negative publicity, the team, they don't need this. They don't need this. Dan Snyder, they already had all the stuff with Jay Gruden last year and him reports of partying and drinking and smoking while the team had to play the very next day. There was a lot of reports going on. The team doesn't need this. And frankly, they haven't really been the same since 91. We were looking up at their stats, and we were looking up what they did since then. They made the playoffs with Kirk Cousins and a 9-7 record in 2015. But other than that, since that 91 season, they've only had 4 seasons with 10-plus wins.
They had a playoff win with Kirk Cousins, appearance. Robert Griffin III. Did Jason Campbell ever have a playoff appearance? Who was the other two? Who was the other two quarterbacks?
So the other two quarterbacks, I'm pulling this up right now. It was in 1992, so I'm assuming it was the quarterback that they won with in 1991, 1999, and 2005. So the quarterbacks were Mark Brunell was actually the quarterback in 2005. The quarterback in 1999 was actually Trey Johnson.
Trey Johnson. So 99, they went to the playoffs. That's the inaugural season when Dan Snyder purchased the Redskins. And ever since then, they've only had, 3 playoff appearances. So really an organization that has underperformed for the last 20 years. You're making the playoffs, 3 times out of 20 years. That's That's like 15%. You walk into a season with a 15% chance, essentially, to make the playoffs.
And then not only that, but there's been multiple reports of players coming out saying that they didn't want to play in Washington. Like, Washington's not a place that teams want to go to. Players want to go to. It's them or it's the Jaguars. I mean, you don't want to go to a dysfunctional organization. Like, if you're already, say you get drafted by the Browns and you want to go to a team that actually has some continuity and actually has some type of leadership qualities to it, you're not going to want to go from one bad locker room right to the next locker room.
No, and it goes back to the Trent Williams situation a year ago of how he wanted out of Washington, right? And he got his wish out of there for sure, but this has a lot to, like, it compares a lot to the Donald Sterling situation. There were stories about how Donald Sterling was somewhat of a weirdo in the locker room. With the Redskins, it's a lot of weird stuff going on back there as well. And not just that, but it seems to be that they lack any kind of, any kind of sympathy for their players. You saw last year they missed a cancer spot in Trent Williams last year. He had cancer in his head area. And his doctors missed it. He had to go out to get a second opinion from that to find out. And you just don't want to play for anyone or even work for anybody who's not going to care for your well-being.
Yeah, and to add off onto that, this year the team really, first of all, they really took a hit off of not having Trent Williams. And not only that, but there was so much stuff transpiring with Jay Gruden, who's going to be the starting quarterback, the Case Keenum stuff. I mean, if we remember, they go back to week 1. They're up against the Eagles 17-0, and then they end up choking that game. Vernon Davis actually has a pretty crazy highlight reel play of him hopping over 2 Eagles defenders, including Malcolm Jenkins. So they've had talent on their roster. It just seems like the talent they are not able to keep. I mean, look at the whole Kirk Cousins saga and what happened there. They mishandled that whole entire situation. I mean, I'm not saying Kirk Cousins is a top 10.
I wouldn't say mishandled. They drafted Dwayne Haskins relatively high in the draft to really put, you knew Case Keenum was not no, you said the Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think they mishandled the Kirk Cousins situation.
Hold on. I was had to take for a whole different. No, the Kirk Cousins thing, man. I think with them giving him a franchise tag back-to-back years, it's laughable because you could have signed this guy for a long-term deal, or you could have just moved on and you could have started your rebuilding phase much faster. Now you've kind of hit yourself in the head and put your team a few steps behind where you would like to be right now.
Yeah, they really did. It's an interesting situation, honestly, in Washington. It's a very interesting situation under Washington Capitol. And it's weird because if you look at the other teams, I mean, the Washington Nationals, it's not like they're a slouch. They're a pretty good team.
Yeah.
The Washington Capitals, they're not a slouch. They're a pretty good team. So it's like, what's going on? Or the Washington Wizards, they're not.
Don't know.
So, I mean, if you're at least fighting.
They have a chance to win the
championship. That's what I'm saying. It's a lot more than the Redskins. You can say about the Redskins.
I only say they have the Wizards have a chance because it is the Corona Cup. But
hey, speaking of Wizards, we play the Wizards actually on July 22nd at 3:30 p.m. Mountain West time.
The Nugs?
The Nugs do, yes. July 22nd, game? Yes.
I mean, the Wizards, we just like to joke, say they're a contender. They're not. At the end of the day, Bradley Beal sitting out.
John Wall.
John Wall was hurt the whole season. Bradley Beal out for the rest of the he's sitting out, obviously. They weren't going to make no noise, but it's always fun to have that little narrative to think, is this Corona Cup going to have a team at like one of those bottom-tier teams like the Wizards make an appearance or a run? But back to the Redskins and more of the weirdness that was going on in, behind the scenes. So get this, there would, when they would get new female employees, veteran female employees would point out spots in the building where not to go, specifically a certain staircase that led to team headquarters.
And then as well as Snyder had a small HR department. I mean, he had, and I'm assuming that they had a, some type of contract in there that they're saying like, hey, if anything comes through here that, happens to say anything bad about any of my associates or any of my clients, you just put that stuff under the rug. And I feel like eventually one of the HR ladies or men were like, that's not acceptable. This is not cool.
It's just, man, that's like something written out of a reality show. It's not how a professional organization you would think would be ran unless you were flipping through the channels and you was trying to watch a reality show on ETV or something, man. It's just it's laughable. It's weird, man. And I relate it to the Donald Sterling situation in the sense that these guys were just billionaires finding this as a profit for not really into the game. You know what I'm saying? They didn't own the team because they led the game. They just did it for the profit, and they ran the organization and the team like it was just I don't want to drop any F-bombs or SH bombs, but they ran it like it was a
poop show.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. I just don't wanna, I get too comfortable sometimes.
They are well up pooped creek without a paddle. So it's very interesting, honestly. Just I don't know, honestly. I don't even want to say I know. It's just this whole thing that's going on with the Redskins. I mean, you have everything with their names, and then you have this stuff coming out. And even then, I mean, it's not like they were highly touted. We always look at the Redskins lately as a kind of a doormat at the NFL. So it just this just keeps adding on to it, honestly. This is just something that really, really, really is just interesting. So, yeah, and even then to relate it back to the Broncos, I mean, who knows what's going on with the Broncos PR department? If you look at all that stuff, you never know what's going on. But this is Sports with Staxxx and Shaggy. Catch us on our second segment right after we get done with the 3-minute commercial break, and we're going to talk about some basketball. This is again Sports with Staxxx and Shaggy.
Hey Colorado sports fans, you're listening to GoMileHigh.com, a student-operated station live from the Colorado Media School studios here in Belmar, giving you a different perspective on all things current.
Stop torturing yourself, man! Live in the now!
So stay tuned to see what's coming up next on GoMileHigh.com, Colorado's sports lifestyle.
Showing!
Every day, across this country, hundreds of college radio stations take to the air, broadcasting music and programming that you won't hear anywhere else.
It's one of the last places where people can really be able to actually say what they want to say.
Without it, you wouldn't have a place for local artists to perform. Certain people need to have a chance, a fighting chance, and college radio is that place for it.
College radio changes the lives of those who are involved with it and can change those who listen to it too.
This is where we start out, from getting all this great experience working in college radio. It makes you want to work in real radio.
College radio means finding yourself. It helped me find what I wanted to do in not only school, but in life.
So support college radio by continuing to listen to this station and supporting the students who make it happen. College radio, now, more than ever. A message brought to you by this station and the College Radio Foundation. For more information, please visit collegeradio.org.
I'm taking a trip over to Tibet, see the sights, climb a hill or two. But I remember, oh man, I got one guy out here who I actually know. So I give an old ringy-dingy to the Lama. What? The Dalai Lama, his laminescence, flowing robes, the grace, bald, striking really. I says to the Lama, hey, you remember that round I caddied for you down in Shangri-La? Well, apparently some station out in Lakewood taped the whole thing. See, the Lama's a big hitter. Nailed 2 eagles in a row that day. Well, he says, what station could have possibly gotten all the way out to my sacred holy lands, the Shangri? I says it was none other than GoMileHigh.com, Lama. They got the best sports coverage in the state. The Lama actually tips me this time, 2-1. So he pretty much stiffed me again. But I got him hooked on GoMileHigh.com. So I got that going for me, which is nice.
That's great.
GoMileHigh.com.
If you have ever dreamed about being on TV or the radio, listen up. Start your broadcasting career today at the Colorado Media School. You'll have the opportunity to work with and learn from actual on-air talent that work within the Colorado media. Within a few months, you'll know how to engineer, produce, and even host your own TV/radio show. I'm a current graduate, and let me tell you, the Colorado Media School has given me opportunities and internships that have helped me take my career to the next level. So apply today at the Colorado Media School, located at 404 South Up Penn Street in Lakewood, or visit us at coloradomediaschool.org.
30 seconds. I'm on right now. I don't believe you.
And welcome back to Sports with Staxxx and Shaggy, a part of GoMileHigh.com and a part of the Be On Air network. You can find us at Facebook at Go Mile High, or you can find us on Twitter at Go Mile High, or you can find us on our website, GoMileHigh.com. Or if you like what we're saying and you want to give us a call, you can call us in at 303-937-6548. So I teased a little bit at the very end of last segment how we're going to be getting into basketball, but more specifically, we're going to be getting into a big name player and how he has been violating the rules and how it's a little bit different and how he feels like but how it feels like almost he's getting catered to being a star and not getting such severe punishment as others, as that is Zion Williams, who might only have to be quarantined for 4 days for violating his quarantine rules.
So the thing with Zion Williamson is if he takes a corona test every day, he's outside of the bubble and he's able to prove those results that he tested a negative coronavirus, then his quarantine time will be only 4 days. But if he doesn't take a coronavirus test every day, if he doesn't do that, it would be a 10-day quarantine just like any other players. Just the funny thing is, I don't think the NBA would be willing to give another player that kind of, leniency unless it was Zion Williamson, unless they carried that much value and marketability on their name. You saw Rashawn Holmes. He's a good player, but he's not a guy who's going to be making a lot of money for the NBA anytime soon. So, with Zion, with this thing, it's just a kind of the special treatment he's getting for sure for what his name carries and how much money it carries. It brings up the same question as yesterday, that this is the time for guys, if they're going to quarantine or if they're going to leave the bubble, catch the Rona or whatever it is, bro. This is now the time. Just you cannot get too comfortable because come tournament time, it's going to be a push. And what fears me and concerns me is a lot of the young guys are going to be vulnerable to wanting to leave. You're young, you're 20. There's a lot of 21, 22-year-olds in the league that are going to want, have a social life, want to leave the bubble. Compared to those veteran players like your LeBrons, your Hardens, the guys who are 30-plus who know what's at stake. So it's going to be definitely interesting.
And for me, I look at it like, why didn't Joker get the same treatment? I understand that, yes, he was coming over from Serbia, but, where's our treatment for our star? Why is Zion getting this treatment, but why isn't our star getting the same treatment?
Zion, there is a man crush with the media and Zion Williamson for sure. Not me necessarily. I'm more of a John Morant guy.
Same.
I like John Morant. Same. But, Zion, I understand why this guy has been highly touted since his high school days. He was a freak of nature. If you go back to...
I worry about his health. The way he plays, I worry about his health.
Yeah, but you go back to those house highlight, though, on YouTube,
and his dunks, he's
he's been known since,
him
2017.
Him and Joker are the biggest players in the league, and the way he dunks the ball, his knees aren't going to be able to hold up for so long.
Yeah, but he does. This is a game that's more lean towards skill. He's shown some skill. I just think, are people going to love Zion Williamson the same way they loved him when he was a dunker, or are they going to forget him the way they forgot about Blake Griffin when Blake Griffin adapted his play style to a skilled point forward kind of guy? Because, Blake Griffin's still a capable player. He's still a proficient player, all-star. But people don't talk about him no more. There's not a lot of hype around him, but there was always love around him when he was dunking on people back when he was with Lob City. And I think that's kind of going to be this kind of the same narrative with Zion Williamson. You're going to love him when he's a dunker and when he's exciting, but when he adapts his play style to more of a skilled game, he's going to get a little bit more forgotten.
Yeah, to add off what you were saying, literally, Ben Simmons just switched his position to point forward, so now he's going to be playing the 4. So it's... you think they're going to be saying the same thing about Ben Simmons? Obviously, we're not going to ever be saying that Ben Simmons is a pull-up shooter ever.
The thing I don't like about Simmons playing the 4, I liked him playing the 1.
Really?
Yeah, man, because now you only have one big. Who's going to bring the ball up for you? Ben Simmons is still going to bring the ball up for you. They only put him on 4 for defensive purposes. Mm-hmm. Who's gonna be that second big man that's now going to make some plays inside? You only got Joel Embiid.
And Joel Embiid's not exactly the toughest center.
You're trying to surround Ben Simmons with a bunch of shooters like Tobias Harris. You got these
JJ Redick, or not JJ Redick? My bad. Yeah, he's in New Orleans. Yeah, my bad. Yeah.
No, you have just the thing with Ben Simmons going to the 4 is it's a defensive move for sure. The Sixers are trying to do the exact opposite of what the Houston Rockets are doing, and that's play big. You know, the Rockets playing small. The Sixers are trying to be more that traditional team in the NBA, and it could help them in the long run.
Do you think the Rockets did that to cater towards James Harden and his skill sets and his?
They're trying to steal the idea of Steve Kerr and those Warriors. You saw how they were so successful by playing small ball, that positionless basketball. But at the end of the day,
I feel like the only way you
the
can
Rockets
play that
never have had that roster, that talent on their roster
like
that
the Warriors
ever had. Like, you can't say PJ Tucker's a Draymond Green. I mean, he's probably the great value version of Draymond Green. Draymond Green is the great value version of Draymond Green.
He's the Walmart version of Green.
Draymond Green's the Walmart version of himself. He has not been great when two certain guys in the back court are not playing with him.
Yeah, it's interesting. And I mean, we have a couple. Didn't one of our players switch from 3 to 4? Didn't we move up Jakeem Grant? I believe. Didn't we move him around?
Jeremy Grant.
Jeremy Grant. My bad. Jeremy Grant.
He's a versatile player. You can play him at the 3 or the 4. The reason why you play him at the 4 is nowadays with like kind of small ball. He is 6'9", but he is very lengthy, so he could lock some guys down. To be honest with you, Jeremy Grant, if you put a little bit more muscle on him, he's very fast. He has a lot of lateral quickness. But if you put more muscle on him, I'll trust him more. I'll trust him a little bit more at the 4. But right now, I say the 3.
Yeah, and then when you were talking about it earlier before the show, I would love to see MPJ play in our 3 role. Honestly, like that'd be perfect for him. It's just we got to give him the starting time, and we got to give him that time to play now.
Well, MPJ's the same way as Zion Williamson. You don't want to rush this guy to give him as many minutes as he has. Granted, the New Orleans Pelicans have been given. When he made his return, giving Zion about 30 minutes a game.
Well, that's because he was the first overall pick, you think? You think that's why?
Not even that. You saw Markelle Fultz, a first overall pick a couple years ago. He played 6 games, and then the Sixers pulled him for the rest of the year. It's more about injury insurance. You want to make sure these guys, are going to be in the long run instead of just a small sample.
So
you want to have
the long game there. They're playing the long game there.
Well, in recent NBA history, last couple of years, teams have been doing that. Ben Simmons sat out his first year. Granted, he did have a injury, actual legitimate injury.
Donovan Mitchell
didn't sit out.
He actually had an injury, didn't he? Too?
Yeah, but he actually had some impact his first year. I'm very disappointed because the
Joker,
Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert. The Nuggets drafted both those guys. Now I don't really care because there's a bunch of dysfunction behind that locker room. But the Nuggets initially drafted them. Jokic was nice his first year. He was not like all-star Jokic now, but it was obviously a guy who had a lot of potential and could put numbers up. I think he had like 10. Shoot, man, he's like 10.
I think he was like 10, 10, and like 3 or something.
No, I don't think he averaged a double-double because he didn't play too many minutes. He was sharing a lot of time with Nurkic, and I remember they tried to play that Balkan buddy ball, and it never really worked out. But going back to with these guys breaking the bubble habits, I'm honestly thinking the bubble life is looking nice. If you're watching the social media, Damian Lillard, he celebrated his 30th birthday. He had that documented on Instagram.
So his stats were 10, 7, and as well as 3. So he had 10 points, 7 rebounds, and 3 assists.
10, yeah.
What
do you think Joker's doing in the bubble right now? Damian Lillard celebrating his birthday. What's Joker doing? Is he running some laps? Is he glad to be in America, or is he homesick?
So do you think Joker wants to actually get Damian Lillard a horse, the same present that he wanted to give Michael Jordan for his birthday? A horse?
I think after we beat Portland, what was it, our 5th game we play them? I'm not too sure. After we beat Portland, yeah, give him a present. But right now, we're not in the best of terms. We got to get at them.
Oh, seriously, especially the way they ended our season last year. We were up in that game, and
and
Dame
Portland might not make the playoffs picture. So right now, that's the only taste of revenge you're going to get on them.
They're injury depleted, though. We all know that they are.
They got Nurkic back. Nurkic is back. That was a big piece of it for them.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. I mean, think about it. They got him back now, but they wouldn't have had him back in the regular season or in the playoffs if it would have been regular.
Yeah, but they got him back. That's what only matters. They got him back. They got him back.
It don't matter. Yeah, as long as they got him now.
Nurkic is, I don't know if people don't know this, but the only guy in NBA history to have a stat line of 5 blocks, 5 steals, 20 points, and 20 rebounds. The Bosnian Beast. Now, I did like him when he was here, but I'm taking Nikola Jokic all day, every day over Nurkic.
Well,
Nurkic
what he produces and the letting other players, like he gives the ball off or dishes the ball off to other players and lets them work.
Yeah.
And not only that,
Nurkic
he brings the best out of them.
Nurkic is a great player, but Jokic, once in a lifetime generational player.
Oh, seriously, and we've been literally making this debate the last 3 days is who can we take out of the top 5 right now to put Joker in there? And you and me are both in agreement that we're taking out James Harden. We're putting Joker in there. Like, I can't take out LeBron. I can't take out Kawhi. I can't take out Anthony Davis. And for our man Miles, I can't take out Luka.
I could probably take out Kawhi just because Kawhi is a little bit seasoned. Like, we're talking about players right now. All right, no, it would have to be a different discussion. Who would you give a, like,
Well, we didn't even mention Giannis. Where's Giannis?
We had a discussion a couple weeks back. Who would you give a 10-year contract to? And if it was that kind of discussion, then yeah, I would. If it was like a top 5, then I would take out Kawhi and replace that with Nikola. Top 5 players, I could see why they put Nikola at 6. I'm replacing Nikola. I'm replacing James Harden with Jokic all day, every day. And you could also debate Luka Doncic. Just Luka Doncic is, I don't know, he plays the point. If you could play Jokic, somehow fit him at the point, just then again, he doesn't really play insanely well with another big on the court. He does play well with Plumlee, but that's because they do have 2 different kind of styles.
Oh, yeah.
Plumlee's a rim runner. He's not a post-up big.
Mm-hmm.
Plumlee likes to run the floor. You saw how it worked when Nurkic was here. 2 traditional bigs. Traditional bigs. And it wasn't really terrible, but they definitely underperformed.
Oh, they definitely did. So it's definitely going to be interesting. And honestly, it's going to be interesting to see how this, next couple weeks plays out. I'm really excited. I mean, we have one last week of really no sports. I mean, there's still sports going on. But then we got baseball coming back. We got hockey. We got basketball. We have UFC going still with it. I'm excited. This is a good time really to have. It's exciting, honestly. And even then, we didn't even talk about Bol with the Nuggets having so much, being so depleted. We can see Bol as such a scenario where he's out there.
Yeah, so Bol, hopefully we can see him. He hasn't made an appearance yet.
But he has that. Doesn't he have to have 8 games of eligibility to play in the playoffs or something like that?
No, I don't believe none of that. I think it would help for experience, your first couple of games being playoff games. That's not going to really – I mean, it's going to help you, but they're not going to be your best games. They're not going to be your best games by a mile, bro.
No, they definitely won't. It's going to be interesting, man. This is going to be a very interesting thing. I mean, but we will be right back. We're going to be talking to some Broncos talk, and the rest of this we're going to be probably talking a little bit of Broncos and as well as Colorado sports. Catch us again after the commercial break. This is Sports with Staxxx and Shaggy.
Hey Colorado sports fans, you're listening to GoMileHigh.com, a student-operated station live from the Colorado Media School studios here in Belmar, giving you a different perspective on all things current.
Stop torturing yourself, man. Live in the now.
So stay tuned to see what's coming up next on GoMileHigh.com, Colorado's sports lifestyle.
Showing.
Every day, across this country, hundreds of college radio stations take to the air, broadcasting music and programming that you won't hear anywhere else.
It's one of the last places where people can really be able to actually say what they want to say.
Without it, you wouldn't have a place for local artists to perform. Certain people need to have a chance, a fighting chance, and college radio is that place for it.
College radio changes the lives of those who are involved with it and can change those who listen to it too.
This is where we start out, from getting all this great experience working in college radio. It makes you want to work in real radio.
College radio means finding yourself. It helped me find what I wanted to do in not only school but in life.
So support college radio by continuing to listen to this station and supporting the students who make it happen. College radio, now, more than ever. A message brought to you by this station and the College Radio Foundation. For more information, please visit collegeradio.org.
I'm taking a trip over to Tibet, see the sights, climb a hill or two. But I remember, oh man, I got one guy out here who I actually know. So I give an old ringy-dingy to the Lama.
What?
The Dalai Lama, his laminescence, flowing robes, the grace, bald, striking really. I says to the Lama, hey, you remember that round I caddied for you down in Shangri-La? Well, apparently some station out in Lakewood taped the whole thing. See, the Lama's a big hitter. Nailed 2 eagles in a row that day. Well, he says, what station could have possibly gotten all the way out to my sacred holy lands, the Shangri? I says it was none other than GoMileHigh.com, Lama. They got the best sports coverage in the state. The Lama actually tips me this time, 2-1. So he pretty much stiffed me again, but I got him hooked on GoMileHigh.com, so I got that going for me, which is nice.
That's great.
GoMileHigh.com.
If you have ever dreamed about being on TV or the radio, listen up. Start your broadcasting career today at the Colorado Media School. You'll have the opportunity to work with and learn from actual on-air talent that work within the Colorado media. Within a few months, you'll know how to engineer, produce, and even host your own TV/radio show. I'm a current graduate, and let me tell you, the Colorado Media School has given me opportunities and internships that have helped me take my career to the next level. So apply today at the Colorado Media School, located at 404 South Uppan Street in Lakewood, or visit us at coloradomediaschool.org.
And welcome back to Sports with Staxxx and Shaggy. After that nice little commercial break, we're going to get into some Broncos talk. And we teased it a little bit yesterday about how we were going to talk about the Broncos schedule release, and not only the schedule release, because it's been out for a while, but we wanted to make our predictions for the schedule, and not only that, but then we wanted to kind of have like a little bit of a devil's advocate about it. And I already know that Amato is going to have a lot of things, or Staxxx is going to have a lot of things to say about my list.
Dropping the government name, bro.
Yeah, can't be dropping. Careful. Yeah, seriously.
Hey, it's all right. I have a very ethnic government name, so they don't even know if you said avocado, potato, tomato. It's all right.
Tomato. But I'm going to go through here, and I'm going to look at the wins that the Broncos do have that I believe that they'll win. And I'm going to look at the teams that I believe that the Broncos are going to lose to. So when I pulled this up, I have the Broncos. Okay, so I'm going to go through the whole schedule right here. So, and if it has a tie, I don't mean as in I think they're going to get a tie. I believe that the game could go either way. So week 1 against the Titans, that's a tie. That's going either way.
That's no fun, man. Come on, you got to get the deciding factor.
All right, I'm going to go to the deciding factor then. They'll win week 1, but they're losing week 2.
All right.
But then they're winning week 3 against Tampa Bay. I'll give you that one. I feel like still the Tampa Bay offense is still trying to figure out their things. Tom Brady's still trying to learn that Bruce Arians system.
That's week 2?
Week 3.
Week 3. Okay.
So that is 2-1. And then I have them going to the Jets, and I feel like that's going to be a good game because the Jets, for some reason, the last couple of years have always played the Broncos very well. So
like that year when we played Geno Smith and Peyton Manning is like a shootout. Like, what the hell?
And then not only that, but then you remember that year that the Broncos went there at I think it was Sam Darnold's rookie year, and they had like 200 and something yards on the ground.
They went nuts.
Yeah. So I'm going to give that one as a close one, but I'm going to give you that one. So I have the Broncos right now starting at 3-1, but this is where it gets a little crazy.
This is like way different from yesterday. You was so disrespectful to my beloved Broncos, bro. I appreciate you today, Jake.
Yeah, well, it's because
Shaggy, I mean,
you dropping the government names. So the only reason I did that is because I was looking at it, and I mean, I'm not going to be, I'm not going to be biased or unbiased about anything. I like to look at everything through skeptical point of views. So when you look at it, go to week 5, they play against New England. Week 5, that's going to be a loss. We know what Bill Belichick represents and playing against first and second year quarterbacks. We know what his defense represents. Even though they don't still have the skill players that they've had the last couple of years, we know what he's going to bring out there, and we know he's going to bring a defense that is going to be able to play. So that's a loss. That's 3-2. So here's actually a surprise one. I actually sat on this one for a while, and I really wanted to think about it. The Miami Dolphins one, that is going to be a surprise loss. I see the Broncos losing that game and going at 3-3. And the only reason I see the Broncos losing that game is Brian Flores had a hot streak last year where he played against 3 playoff teams and beat 2 of them in the Philadelphia Eagles and the New England Patriots. And not only did he beat them, but he beat them in crazy fashions, and he had no run game. Ryan Fitzpatrick was their leading rusher last year.
Who's that quarterback again?
It's going to be Ryan Fitzpatrick and as well as Tua. Tua's going to probably play the bench role, and they're going to have Ryan out there.
Like I asked, who's going to be that quarterback again?
Well, who knows? It depends on who we're getting out there. What Fitzpatrick are we getting? Are we getting that Fitzpatrick that's going to throw for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns in 3 consecutive games?
Could we see a Josh Rosen at some point?
Can we see a Josh Rosen? There's no Josh. You already know what I feel about Josh Rosen bust.
That's like, man, that's Josh Rosen. I don't really feel entirely too bad for him because of what he said on draft night. I'm gonna let those other guys regret they didn't draft me. Like, no one's really regretting that right now, buddy.
So going back into it, Chiefs, they play them in Week 6 in Denver. Broncos haven't beat the Chiefs since 2015 when Jamal Charles fumbled the ball that DeMarcus Ware pulled out, and Bradley Roby took it for a touchdown.
And we barely won that game.
That's what I'm saying. You guys were tied. It was tied 24-24 with 30 seconds left. They run the ball. He fumbles the ball, picks it up for 6. That's the last time the Broncos have won against the Chiefs. And some of these games,
we should have won that Monday. There's been a couple games we choked
are you
against
talking about
the
that
Chiefs.
Sunday night game?
There was a Sunday night one. Yeah, I think it was Sunday night.
Yeah, that was the one where they kicked. That's the one where they tried to kick that long field goal.
We were up by 14 points.
Yeah.
Going into the fourth quarter, that was the first time we gave up.
And then even then, 2017, you guys almost beat Patrick Mahomes. And
his first NFL start. So that was probably the best game we've ever played against Pat Mahomes.
So I'm actually going with, again, so I'm going to go back onto it. I'm actually giving the Broncos the win. I feel like it's been way too long. They need it. So 4-3, they beat the Chiefs. They're 4-3 at their bye week. And then here's where road gets a little weird. I have them losing in Atlanta. And the reason I have them losing in Atlanta is I feel like Atlanta's, yes, we all know that their defense isn't that good, but look at their offense and look what their offense represents. The offense is loaded with talent. There is talent galore.
You better say Todd Gurley's on there now. Are you infatuated with Atlanta because they got Todd Gurley?
No, not even Todd Gurley. I mean,
Calvin Ridley,
Julio Jones. I mean, they have a good offense. We all know what they can represent offensively every year. That game was the one that I had another one going back and forth, but I'm going to give the Broncos a loss in that one just because it's in Atlanta. So that right there is at 4-4. I have them at 4-4 through 9 games. Okay.
So you had them going through what?
3-1, and then losing to Kansas City, losing to Miami, and then losing to the Falcons.
So losing 3 straight games.
Yes.
So you had them at 4-1 then at one point.
No, I had them at 3-1, and then they lose to the
Patriots.
They lose to the Patriots, and then they beat the Chiefs, and then they lose to the Dolphins. So they lose. They go back and they split it. They split it.
I like that. Hey, yesterday you were showing some love today because yesterday you were being very critical.
Hey, I looked at the stuff. You know me. I like my quarterback analysis. I did my tape. I looked at the game tape, and I saw some games that I was like, hey. So the Raiders game at LV now because it's not LV Raiders. That's still, I love it. I really want to go to one of those. I want to go to a game. I don't care. I want to go to a game. Anyway, in LV, I see them winning. So right there, we have them at what? 5-4. 5-4. Chargers at home. I could see them winning that game. I mean,
depending on what kind of Chargers we're gonna get, if we're gonna get a defensive juggernaut Chargers, or are we gonna get a banged up team like last year?
That is a good point, but I'm more or less looking at who they're gonna be starting at quarterback. I don't trust the quarterbacks that the Chargers have. I was talking to one of my buddies of mine that's a Chargers fan today, actually, and we were discussing the Chargers quarterback situation, and he's very high on Tyrod Taylor, and it's just
I could see that, but I could also see at the same time Tyrod Taylor's confidence is hurt right now because the team didn't they right before they drafted Justin Herbert with the 6th pick. He was signed by that team, not to be, given any promises of any long-term deal, but he was given under the impression that, hey, man, here's a chance that you get a starting role for at least a year. Now, you picking a guy in the top 10 is pretty much telling him, hey, bro, you're competing, pretty much putting him in the same situation he found himself with Baker Mayfield in 2018.
No, it's true. So they win against the Chargers in week 10. That puts them at 6-4, or week 11. My bad, the bye week. Week 11, 6-4. Then they head home again to play against the Saints. This is a game that's interesting because Drew Brees on tape, he can't throw the deep ball anymore, and he really, really struggles to throw the deep ball. And when you have a receiver that runs a slant better than anyone in the NFL, and Michael Thomas.
I mean, runs it. I wouldn't say any route better, but.
Well, those are a slant.
Yeah, and one of the most physical receivers, too.
And you as well as have Alvin Kamara coming out of the backfield. There's no reason why that Drew Brees didn't have at least a 70% completion percentage.
How much are we going to see more of Alvin Kamara? Because I'm thinking he's coming to the end. Like, you know how long these running backs last.
So you're saying that you're seeing the wires on that tire?
Yeah, I think it's running out on him just because we've seen – you saw how fast he peaked, bro.
Yeah.
You saw how fast he peaked.
This one, again, I had a hard time going back and forth. I want to go back to this, but I had a hard time going back and forth on this Saints game because I kept looking at like, all right, well, if the Broncos force Drew Brees to throw the ball down the field, what's that going to do? And, I started thinking like, all right, who do the Saints have as deep threat receivers? So it really – I had a lot of question marks about it, but I'm going to give the Broncos – the win in this game. And the only reason I'm going to give the Broncos the win is because I believe that the Broncos will be able to score enough points and as well as play keep away from Drew Brees in that offense to be able to hold and secure the lead with that run game. And I also believe that the Saints defense won't be able to hold the run game of the Broncos. So that's at 7-4. Now, here's where, obviously you're not going to like me, but you have 2 road games, and a lot of people are sleeping on this Carolina Panthers team, but if you look at what Matt Rule has done in the last 2 franchises he's played in, he coached at Baylor, and as well as coached at Toledo for 3 years, and both of those times he turned them around in those 3 years, starting in each respective season 1-11, and then in the third season respectively 11-1. So he literally flipped his records in both places. So I really feel like a lot of people are sleeping on the Panthers. So that being said, I see the Broncos losing these 2 away games.
It's the same cliche though, man. It's not the little leagues though. This is the big leagues. This ain't collegiate sports no more. Hey, you saw what happened with Chip Kelly. He had one good year, and after that, he was getting punked by everybody.
No, that is true. So the scenario that I'm seeing is actually the Panthers, yes, I think they're going to make noise next year, but I don't see them winning more than 5-6 games. So with the Broncos being 7-5 at this 7-6 at this point of the year, or 7-5 because they lose to Kansas City in Kansas City, that's interesting game. I see them having a surprise loss, and the surprise loss in the season is against that Panthers. I mean, you're going into Carolina, Panthers team who's probably going to be looking for a win towards the end of the season, trying to build off of, their season.
That's never a surprise loss when you lose on the road. I mean, it is a surprise considering who your opponent is, but you always got to put that home field advantage. Is always going to help a team. If you're going to lose an unexpected game, it usually most of the time is on the road.
So for me, that's 7-6. So that's 7-6 right there. We have 3 more games, right? 3 more games. Are they going to make the playoffs or are they not going to make the playoffs?
What would you have them at?
So,
what's the record right now?
Right now I have them at 9-7. I don't.
No. What's the record right now? You have.
I have them at 7-6 after the Panthers, and that's at week 15. So then they go to week 14. So they go to week 15. They come back home and play against Buffalo. The last 2 times that Buffalo's played Denver, they played them very well. And actually, last time I think they held them out, didn't they? They beat them 20-0. So that one's going to be a hard game. I see Buffalo pulling that one through 7-7. Now these last 2 games, I see the Broncos winning in San Diego and then winning at home at Oakland to finish the year, finishing at 97 and getting that 7th seed. Only reason I see them doing that is because I feel like at 7-7 towards the end of the year, they're going to have at least a little bit more juice in the tank to finish off against these division games. Again, this is my take, we could see a lot of different things. I mean, who would have thought that the Patriots would have lost to the Dolphins in Week 17 last year? We take everything that we say here with a grain of salt. It's, that's, what we got to do. So it's interesting. I mean, what do you have? I have them at 9-7 this year. What do you have them at?
I'm taking 10-6.
You taking 10-6?
Yeah.
So where's that extra win then? I had them losing against Buffalo, losing against Panthers, losing against.
It's probably that Panthers. It's that Panthers one.
You think that Panthers one?
More than likely that Panthers one for sure. Just because I don't have a lot of expectation from the Panthers this year. You have Teddy Bridgewater, who did have a phenomenal year last year, but hey, I still think the question mark's still up with him. Same with Case Keenum.
Yeah.
How it was when he was in 2017 with the Vikings.
Yep. So we're going to be getting into a little bit more some evergreen topics on the back half of the hour. Join us after these little quick commercial breaks. This is Sports with Staxxx and Shaggy.
Hey Colorado sports fans, you're listening to GoMileHigh.com, a student-operated station live from the Colorado Media School studios here in Belmar, giving you a different perspective on all things current.
Stop torturing yourself, man. Live in the now.
So stay tuned to see what's coming up next on GoMileHigh.com, Colorado's sports lifestyle.
Showing.
Every day across this country, hundreds of college radio stations take to the air, broadcasting music and programming that you won't hear anywhere else.
It's one of the last places where people can really be able to actually say what they want to say.
Without it, you wouldn't have a place for local artists to perform. Certain people need to have a chance, a fighting chance, and college radio is that place for it.
College radio changes the lives of those who are involved with it and can change those who listen to it too.
This is where we start out, from getting all this great experience working in college radio. It makes you want to work in real radio.
College radio means finding yourself. It helped me find what I wanted to do in not only school but in life.
So support college radio by continuing to listen to this station and supporting the students who make it happen. College radio, now, more than ever. A message brought to you by this station and the College Radio Foundation. For more information, please visit collegeradio.org.
I'm taking a trip over to Tibet, see the sights, climb a hill or two. But I remember, oh man, I got one guy out here who I actually know. So I give an old ringy-dingy to the Lama.
What?
The Dalai Lama, his laminescence, flowing robes, the grace, bald, striking really. I says to the Lama, hey, you remember that round I caddied for you down in Shangri-La? Well, apparently some station out in Lakewood taped the whole thing. See, the Lama's a big hitter. Nailed 2 eagles in a row that day. Well, he says, what station could have possibly gotten all the way out to my sacred holy lands, the Shangri? I says it was none other than GoMileHigh.com, Lama. They got the best sports coverage in the state. The Lama actually tips me this time, 2-1. So he pretty much stiffed me again. But I got him hooked on GoMileHigh.com. So I got that going for me, which is nice.
That's great.
GoMileHigh.com.
If you have ever dreamed about being on TV or the radio, listen up. Start your broadcasting career today at the Colorado Media School. You'll have the opportunity to work with and learn from actual on-air talent that work within the Colorado media. Within a few months, you'll know how to engineer, produce, and even host your own TV/radio show. I'm a current graduate, and let me tell you, the Colorado Media School has given me opportunities and internships that have helped me take my career to the next level. So apply today at the Colorado Media School, located at 404 South Uppan Street in Lakewood, or visit us at coloradomediaschool.org.
And welcome back to our last segment, and the last segment of the week, unfortunately. We've had a good week, I feel like. We've had a pretty good week getting into all these different topics in sports. We've had some good news to break, Joker being here, MLS kicking off. We had UFC this weekend. We got all the games starting off next week. It's been a good week in sports. We're finally starting to get stuff that we've been wanting since March, or what we got taken away from us since March. We're finally getting it back. But for this last segment, we're going to have a little bit of a fun game. We're just going to say a sports logo, and the first player that you think of, we're going to say their name, and we're going to play a little bit of sound for some of these players for that particular team. So the first team I want to do, because obviously we're from Denver, is who do you think of when you see the Denver Broncos logo?
Hey, I got someone for you, man. And I'm not going to tell you. I'm going to let some Denver, former Denver players, his teammates tell you.
I'm only the fourth player in NFL history to go over 2,000 yards. He is 7 yards shy of that mark.
At any time you have a guy that's close to 2,000, which never happens, and not very often anyway. And so I think that it was, Terrell took great pride in it, but also those guys up front and wanting to get him that 2,000 yards. And so there's no question that last game we were counting it down.
Now, I said teammates in plural. I should have said teammate. And Dave Logan. Shout out to Dave Logan. Credit to him for that call.
So you thinking Terrell Davis first?
All day.
You thinking Terrell Davis first?
TD.
You got to play my soundbite then.
Oh.
You got to play a little bit of mine because I'm thinking something a little bit different.
Oh, I kind of...
Thinking a little bit different. I mean, we got a dive play I want to hear. I got a little something.
Right,
Super Bowl 32.
I got you. Hold your horses. Hold your horses.
Packers jumping around. They rush 4. Plenty of time for John. Now squeezes, steps up in the pocket. Elway can run. Come on, John. Come on. Come on. Inside the 10. Head first. He dives inside the 5-yard line. Yeah. Elway spun around, but it's first and goal. A gain of 8. He wanted that first down.
And I tell you what, if you want to tell me the 37-year-old man doesn't want to win this game.
Hastings.
Scott Hastings. Shout out Scott Hastings.
Yeah, shout out Scott Hastings, but
a legend in his own way, also an airhead.
But you're thinking
others.
But you're thinking that Terrell Davis over John Elway for the Broncos?
I mean, to me personally to me, I chose this off a personal, a personal basis. Now, obviously it's John Elway. He's more, I won't say more recognizable, but with all the accolades, I mean, he did play 15 years as quarterback, 16 years as quarterback. And if Terrell Davis had, a healthier career, you're talking about a guy who's breaking records. But injuries cut short. That's a conversation for another time where Terrell Davis could have been ranked. I think with him only playing 5-6 short years, he did get forgotten for a while. In NFL history, it took him 15 years to get into the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Yeah, it did. I mean, that almost, going into like what you said, the 5 years. I mean, like that's why for me, I think about John Elway. I mean, you think of like a career Bronco, you think of someone that's been here for a while. I mean, for me, the first two, I even think about Von Miller over TD.
John Elway doesn't have a Super Bowl ring unless Terrell Davis comes along.
Yeah,
that's just the sad truth. So whoever's a big John Elway fan, hey, kudos to you. I'm an Elway fan. But Terrell Davis is the man.
Yeah. So we're going to play the soundbite for this next team, and that is the Nuggets. And who do you think about? But first, I'm going to ask you before we play a little soundbite. We can cue it up.
Before we play your soundbite? All right, I got you. And
who are you thinking when you think of the Nuggets?
It was hard, man. They've changed their logo so many times. Like, through 30 years, they had the navy and the maroon colors and logo wave. They had the baby blue and the yellow. Now they have the dark blue. And, man, it's just so hard when you think of a Nuggets logo. To me, I like that mid-2000s. That's
that Chauncey Billups
what I resemble it with. And I don't really identify a player. I just identify that whole squad because arguably that 08, 09, 07, 08 squads were some of our best in franchise history.
Oh, they were. I mean, they were so fun to watch.
But I know you got a guy. You was representing this off of the newer logo.
Yeah, I had to. Well, I mean, what we were saying,
All right, well, let's hear it. And I'm not in no disagreement at all.
Jokic has 7 rebounds for Jokic. Alley-oop, that's too high. Oh, it's not too high!
I get chills whenever I hear that.
Man.
Like, oh my gosh. Joker's, that's one heck of a player, man. Like, as Denver fans here, they're so lucky to have him. Like, seriously.
I can't put Joker because really our logo right now.
When I think of the logo right now, I think
we're probably going to have another logo in the next 5 years. So, like, Nicola's going to represent a few logos when you look at them.
Yeah, I mean, we already have that all-rainbow logo, the one that's right above me and my shoulder. We got that one, and I love that one.
Hey, all right, when you think of the all-rainbow logo, who do you think of? What Nugget player do you think of?
You know what? I think of Jamal Murray. The only reason
the all-rainbow logo?
Yeah,
all right, go back to the 80s. I'm talking about the 80s.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the new one, Oh, okay. All-rainbow logo. I think of Alex English.
English, all right.
Yeah, well, I thought you were talking like, because remember?
No, for you.
Yeah,
which is tremendously fire.
The new one?
Yeah.
Oh.
Swag out to the fullest.
Oh, now, seriously, swag.
The 90s now with the maroon and when we was really terrible. What player do you recognize with that?
Mutombo.
Okay, we're in the same boat. We got the same trend. This one's gonna be a little fun. 2000s Nuggets.
2000s Nuggets. Who do I think of?
Yeah.
I mean, you got to go Melo. I mean, my favorite.
I'm going
Billups. I'm assuming.
I'm going Chauncey.
I mean, for me, you can even throw you could think Allen Iverson in there too.
You think Nene before AI? AI was there for like a year or two, but he didn't really have a whole. And he had a 50-point game.
Or you could think Andre Miller too. I think Andre Miller too.
Yeah.
Or Chris Birdman. We all love Birdman.
I think of Earl Boykins before all those names you just said. Hey, all right, here I got one for you. Boston Celtics. Who do you think of?
Boston Celtics. Well, I'm gonna break it down into the generations, like you said. So if we're going 60s,
no. Before we do it, let's do that after I play this sound.
All right.
Who do you think of the whole
Celtics? I'm going Bill Russell. I mean, you got to go to the
Bill
guy
Russell?
with them. You got to go with the guy with the most rings.
Okay, because I got something controversial for you, and I'm gonna play it, and you're gonna let me hear your reaction after this.
Such emotion. It's all right. Don't apologize.
This for everybody in Soda. This for everybody in Chicago. VV. It's for everybody. South Cat, Basswood, my mama Peanut. See everybody right now. On my mama made it, ma. Top of the world. Top of the world.
Anything is possible. I mean, KJ.
You sound like a rock star.
Yeah. I listen to way too much Metallica, honestly.
Hey, no, the reason why I put KG in there is because as a kid growing up, I used to just play basketball. I wasn't really into watching it and whatnot. We just used to play basketball. We had a basketball court down the street. And, you know, when you didn't want to go to school, we did school and we just shoot some hoops up. Well, what got me into actually start watching the game was the 07-08 Celtics. And when I thought of basketball, I thought of this big, bald-headed, 6'11" power forward playing for this green team. I didn't even know the name of the team. This is when you chose your fandom off of team colors. You remember that day and age of your life? And, you know, ironically, that Boston Celtics team wasn't the only rough and tough team in the league. We had a squad out here in Denver, the Denver Thuggets.
You think of KG for the 2000s Celtics. For me, I'm thinking Ray Allen.
What? No. Man, he is. Shout out to Ray Allen, top shooter of all time. But talk about the first Kevin Durant, the first guy to pull the Kevin Durant on him.
Oh yeah, it was
KG.
Yeah.
What?
I said it was KG. It was the first Kevin Durant on him.
No,
yeah.
how?
Oh my bad. Yeah, Ray Allen.
Ray Allen. Yeah. And I was gonna say don't disrespect KG. Though KG did leave his squad to join forces with the championship contender.
They basically all did. I mean,
besides Paul Pierce. Paul Pierce stayed put.
Yeah.
The thing though with KG is
even then, I think of honestly all four of them. When I think of that 2000 Celtics team, I think of Rajon Rondo, Ray Allen, Paul Pierce, and KG. I think of all four of them honestly.
Kendrick Perkins, the odd man.
Oh my gosh, Perkins, man.
Hey, he was
the percolator.
Hey, he was only there for like enforcement. He wasn't there to score any points.
It's the same thing that Draymond was there. Same way that Dennis.
No. Draymond is there to pass the ball to Steph and Clay. His only job is to pass the ball to Steph and Clay. So, other than that, then he had pretty much the same job as Kendrick Perkins.
Mm-hmm. And then Dennis Rodman.
No, don't disrespect Dennis Rodman. Come on, that dude was 6'9", 6'7", and averaged 13 rebounds. Bro, he was a leader in rebounds from age 30 to 37.
Mm-hmm.
Come on now, like in a league that had Patrick Ewing, for some of it had Shaquille O'Neal, Charles Barkley, and you're telling me this guy who's this middle-aged guy is leading the league in rebounds for 7 to 8 straight years.
No, it's crazy, man. It's crazy. So we're thinking Bill Russell and KG for the Celtics.
And it's really disrespectful because neither one of us said Larry Bird.
I mean, we probably should have said Larry Bird or Bill Russell, but that's gonna do it for tonight. This was Sports with Staxxx and Shaggy. You can catch us again on Monday from 8 to 9. Everyone have a good weekend and be safe. We are out of here.
Hey, no hard feelings, Larry Bird.
Yeah, no hard
feelings. We love you over
here.
Mm-hmm.